This conference will now be recorded.
We don't have more, let's try. Call the meeting to order. We'll do a pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so on the agenda tonight, I'm sure everybody's aware we have 3 public hearings. So we'll start with the first public hearing, local law 2, titled opting out of retail cannabis dispensaries. We'll start with the people in the room, and then we'll move to online as far as comments, just to keep it organized. And then you guys have any other comments on that?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Tim Dennis from Front Street, EEIS. I think allowing cannabis sales inside the village would be a good idea. I don't see very much negative effect in that if we don't do it in the village, it would just be down the street someplace anyway. From what they've done with medical marijuana in terms of the higher price of entry, plus the regulations around security, traceability, and identification checks. I don't think it would be a bad idea. And, going up for another retail location, it's something that somebody's got to invest in terms of security and location and everything else. I think overall it'd be a benefit for the village.
Here, comments about dispensaries.
I'm sorry.
Is there anyone else here, comments about dispensaries?
Yes, if I may.
Okay, so yeah, now we'll move online. So just state your name and what you're representing or where you live.
Sure. My name is John Fletcher. I own the Your Essential Cannabis CBD retail store on Lake Street. I reside in Vestal, New York. I guess curious as to why the law and this discussion was reopened, given the immense positive support that it had in the first public hearing and the support that it has received since identifying that it was going to be reopened this evening.
Everyone good? Yeah, two or quick thing. Ron, so we can hear more opinions, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Being remote, the microphone is kind of foggy. I apologize for that.
That's fine. But do you have any other, I know you spoke at length last time, anything else?
Yes, obviously I am in support of opening up dispensaries. My goal when I got into CBD 2 years ago in the village was to hopefully have the opportunity to secure a license and work within the village, offering the opportunity of opening a dispensary. I believe that it's time. It's something that has support not only locally, but across the state and across the nation. It continues to grow even at the national level, with regards to progressive research taking place now, and support through both the House and the Senate with regards to banking legislation, marijuana research, and marijuana use, both medical and recreational. I think it would be a great opportunity for the village. The 3% tax revenue that they would gain, I believe, would be an immense benefit for the village. My plan, should I be able to secure a license, would be to make the Owego location a destination. It's a great stopping point, getting off 17 for people on their way to Ithaca, similar to what Jim has done with early Owego Antiques. And I believe I can make that a destination spot. So I hope with this revote that the village considers all of this and again looks to stay in. Thank you.
Thank you. Do anybody else online want to say anything about cannabis dispensaries?
Yes, this is Kevin Handley. I live in the village of Owego, and I just wanted to let you know that I do support having dispensaries in Owego and Tioga County. And it helps, like Mr. Fletcher said, that would help, for travel and tourism for people to come through Owego to go to those dispensaries. So I do support that 100%.
It's cheaper than medical.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online want to say anything about dispensaries? Yeah, do you guys want to say anything about the good department for dispensaries?
Just dispensaries at the moment? At the moment. All right. Eric Carbone, 204 Front Street. I had a lot to say at the last meeting. I'm not gonna get too much into everything I had to say last time, with the exception of one thing. I was told in a threatening manner, next time I come to a meeting, I better come correct. Every ounce of information I said was to the taxes was correct. I have information from both cannabis, the Cannabis Control Committee, as well as documents reviewed by both lawyers and accountants familiar in cannabis tax and whatnot. I'm not sure why there's a revote. Pretty sure it was 5-2 last time. It was apparent on the message boards that Ms. Fuller requested a revote, and I don't want the bias of one board member to sway this. You had brought up the poll. Thank you for that. That was fantastic. 716 members of this community are in agreement. Less than, I think it was 63, 64 were in opposition. That being said, if it is opposed across the board for some reason, which I don't think it will be, according to local records of people that voted on the West gubernatorial election, I need roughly 200 signatures to cause a referendum. Actually, a little less than that. Just according to the Facebook polls alone, bring it on.
Anybody else comments on the dispensaries? This is the point of sale. And I will say you brought up the Facebook poll, so I did put in a Facebook poll. And I said I would bring it up in the public hearing. So it was on Facebook, so it's obviously not limited to village residents. I would guess it's at least probably 60% village residents. 829 total votes. And out of those 829, 716 voted to opt in for dispensaries and point of sale. And 69 voted to opt out of everything. 39 voted to opt out just from sale. 2 voted, 39 voted to opt out of dispensary, right now, on-site consumption. 2 voted to opt out of just from sale. Whatever it's worth for the board. 716 for everything, 69 to opt out of everything, 39 to opt out of on-site consumption, 2 to opt out of point of sale. 3 people, $6 signs for the vote. So they make their own option. All right, so if there are any more comments on the point of sale or dispensaries, we'll close the public hearing on that one. Easy. And then we'll open the public hearing on local law number 3, opting out of on-site cannabis consumption. We'll do this the same way, we'll pick anybody in the room, and then we'll flip it over to the people online. Is there anybody here that has comments about on-site consumption? This would be like the lounge or, yep,
So when you talk about on site, like, let's say you bought something on the streets, can you walk into the on-site consumption place and use it? Or,
Okay. Can I explain what it is out there?
if you know, yeah.
An on-site consumption line?
Yes.
So effectively, it would be similar to bar lounge or any sort of lounge in general. It's a space where it could be a restaurant, it could be just a members only club type situation. But it's a place where you can go safely purchase recreational legal cannabis that is tested and all that through the state system, and just a place to consume it. That being said, on-site consumption would be just, I don't know, we have the brewery on Lake Street, right? Just imagine that, but not selling alcohol, only selling cannabis. So you could basically go, hang out, purchase, and consume.
you have to bring your own beer in there.
No, there is going to be a separation of alcohol. Most likely. Yeah.
Divided by that, we'll take a block.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for the one that didn't block. So we have comment on on-site consumption?
You know what I say?
Yeah, I really think that the board needs to wait on that one until the state gets their ducks in a row as far as the on-site consumption. The last thing I knew, they had got all the rules, regulations together for that, for the on-site consumption. That's my understanding. I think it'd be best to wait until they have those rules and regulations in place before you say, yeah, okay, we're gonna let you do it.
So is that true? I guess that's a question for the attorney. Do they have the rules and regulations in place?
It's my knowledge.
How they're gonna exactly what fees, how many will allow, what requirements they'll have for, let's say, ventilation or the actual sales occur. I mean, we just, don't have those.
Yeah, I'll just add, it's correct, that does seem to be the license that there is kind of the least amount of information and kind of what you really, you know, out of the other types are definitely, you know, priority in the kind of board perspective. And, you know, from what I can see, it's definitely also affecting the amount of people that are interested in that license and expecting that that's going to be pretty much the last one. The, yeah, in this whole grand scheme of things, So there, we want to stop, not as much in that license type as on the others at this point. I'm sorry, my name is Brittany Carbone,
Anybody else here for on-site consumption? All right, online, open up to you guys. This is comments about on-site consumption. We got a couple of people on this.
This is Kevin Hanley again, Village of Owego. I do agree with that 100% as well, because that would bring a lot of revenue into the Village of Owego, and I think that would help our tax issue as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments about on-site?
Are you
Hi,
asking for comments now? Is that what just happened? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt anybody. Sorry. There's a lot of reception issues on this end for some of us, I think. But I think someone else was going to speak. This is Diane Weiner. I live on John Street. Excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah, so
Hi, John Fletcher again. I have the same level of support for on-site consumption as I do for a dispensary. And I guess what I'd like the board to consider as they're going through this is if this was another bar that were to open in the Village of Owego, would we be having the same discussion? I'd really be interested in getting OPD's feedback on the number of calls they take that are marijuana related versus the number of calls they take that are alcohol related. Just some food for thought, because nationally, the statistics are far more in favor of alcohol being an issue than marijuana. Thank you.
then we have, the other, Diane, you want to say it?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. I live on John Street. I've been here for a number of years now, and I support what John Fletcher just said. And I think another layer that's important to think about is the ways reputationally that this has the potential to support a lot of different communities within the communities, because I think there are people who would benefit from having opportunities to do business and entrepreneurship in relation to this arena. It also has the potential to engage with people involved with various creative communities. And rather than pathologizing the conversation, I think it would be more prudent to be creative and contemporary in our wish to maintain the historical continuity of our community, but also be modern with all due respect. I think one of the other layers of this that's extremely important is the issue of freedom of speech and the fact that there are a number of arguments happening on social media, which I actually found very confusing and disconcerting, that suggested that a decision had already been made and then it was reopened. So I think reputationally, again, it's very important to have transparency, as many people talk about politically and ideologically, so that people are not saying that or perceiving that. And why are so many people perceiving that? So that was disconcerting to me. So I think it needs to be made clear why this meeting was happening when there apparently had already been a meeting to talk about this set of themes and concerns. And so I'm not feeling well. I actually just tested myself for COVID, and thank God I'm negative. But I came because this is so important to me, because it's about freedom of expression and advancing the civil liberties of people in our community. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time and your professionalism.
Diane, it's online about the on-site consumption.
Mike, it's Sarah. We can't hear you.
Oh. Do we have any other? Yeah. Do we have any other comments about on-site consumption of marijuana? Online?
I just want to add that, if I do have consumption, whatever it is, there is still bounces as far as the, the village is, is concerned, with zoning and those types of regulations that allow you to, make certain rules around how certain businesses operate or what, where they're allowed to be located and, where those, businesses can open up. Just wanted to put it out there that, it's not just a free for all. If the, on-site consumption is passed and somebody is already a license in the village of Owego wants to open up, they would still need to go through the usual, usual kinds of processes that other businesses need to as far as, getting on that location, zoning approved and, complying with those ordinances on how they run that business.
So we're having a lot of trouble hearing you, but if I may add something briefly, I promise I'll be terse, which is not my tendency, but I do know how to do it. So I'll pass as terse, okay? This is Diane Weiner again from John Street, actually from Brooklyn, represent, but now on John Street. So one of the things that I think is important is to have what you just articulated be put on a kind of maybe a Q&A or an FAQ page or something like that, so people understand what the ethics and creative and cultural implications of this is all going to be, or are all going to be, but also the understanding of, again, transparency, that people know what this doesn't mean, that we're not advancing something flighty or imprudent. We're actually trying to advance the possibility of people having, again, freedom of expression in consistency with New York State law, but also in consistency with our desire to support the tax revenue that would benefit our community, would benefit the schools potentially, would benefit a number of other, industries and arenas, but most specifically the children on the roads, et cetera. So it would be not, I hope not too difficult. I'd be very happy to help if that would be needed, to put together, like, what does this mean for our community? What is entailed here? And if there are, you could even set up potentially a certain email address that would be specific, that would route these kinds of questions if there are concerns. And then you would have data, because you would have a certain, like what's called a filter on an email address, to see how many people actually really are having certain emotions or perceptions about this. So I would suggest creating a Q&A that could be in the Penny Saver. It could be made available digitally and therefore screen reader accessible, hopefully. And it could be something that just helps people think about what's going on, so people don't have this, again, perception that people didn't tell them what was happening or how this became decided and things of that nature. So just explaining what happened, I think, would be very helpful to members of the community who didn't know what was going on until someone, they might have known personally and professionally told them. Thanks again.
I don't know the protocol for when we're allowed to speak. Is it all right to jump in now? Oh, thanks, Laura. Yeah, thank you. This is Chris Knickerbocker. I'm a longtime resident of the village, currently living on Lake Street, where I own a building, and I'm a business owner as well as a resident, and very much in love with our village. And I am not as eloquent in any way as Diane is, but I would agree with everything that she has said thus far, and I would support opting into this in totality for many reasons. And I'll leave the eloquence to Diane.
Well, that's very generous of you, but I'm just doing my best here. And again, I don't feel great. I'm trying to keep up with everyone. Thanks so much, Grace.
I do have, is there anybody else online? I don't want to go.
I'm gonna try to fix our microphones. Go for it.
In regards to the tax revenue, as Diane bring up, and opting in and opting out, if municipalities do opt out, have no claim to any tax revenue whatsoever garnered by recreational cannabis. If you do opt in, you are eligible to receive those outside of the 4% excise tax, which the 1% goes to the county, the remaining 3% goes to the locality of the dispensary. The percent sales, state sales, which after funding the cannabis control board, 80% of that state tax revenue goes directly into reinvest communities disappropriately impacted by the war on drugs. 40%, as Diane mentioned, to public schools and public education. 20% to drug treatment, prevention, and education. I put down a bunch of these if you guys would just hold on to them. But the reason I bring up the money only goes to places that opt in, like where I'm originally, Long Island, just about all of Long Island opted out. They have the population to opt in later, and it probably wouldn't really affect them too much. But like I said, it's kind of support for us to act first. Also, that being said, again, the tax revenue only goes to municipalities or localities opt in. So, in other words, in 2023, it's projected to be a 1.4 billion by 2020. Expected to be over $4 billion industry in the state. In other words, opting in, being municipalities that opt in, you're just going to get a bigger piece of that tax revenue at the end of the year.
Oh, it's a question again.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. So if we opt out, can the town of Owego opt in?
Yes.
Oh, then this is really a no-brainer.
Well, but what the town says doesn't determine the village.
Well, no, but that's if it's for the tax. So if we opt in, can get tax money. Correct. If we opt out and somebody on Fifth Avenue opens a place, then get the tax money and we get tax money? Am I understanding it correct?
Yep.
If the town opts out, then they take 1.5 or 3%. So we will lose 1.5% of the town. If they don't, and we vote this, we get the full.
But if they opt in and we opt out, they get the full 3%.
What I just said.
But if you both opt in together, it would actually have to go to between the village and the town to figure out how that split works.
So they said 1.5, 1.5. So we got, I'm not.
So 1.5.
But they're, from what I know of, I've been to multiple meetings, they're looking like now. So you're in a prime
Well,
position.
that's fine. I mean, if I were the town, I'd say, well, I want to have. But I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we vote.
Right.
I digress my statement now, just for fluidity. I just wanted to give you proper information.
No, the way I'm thinking is they opt in, we opt in, we're still getting 1.5%. We opt in, we lose it, and it still be sold right in our own back.
It would have to be sold in the town of Owego, rather than the village, for the town to receive this.
Right, but is it tax considered
Yeah.
town of Owego?
Yes.
Okay.
Just pass that.
And it passes retirement.
All right, do we have any other comments on this was on the on-site portion of. All right, I will say, part of the reason we opened back up was because of, I know somebody brought up, but because of that's from the police chief of the department. The board thought it would be good to hear opinions. That is part of the reason why we opened it back up, not just to kind of bounce back and forth, change our minds. And we have until, where we ought to be here, we have until the end of the year, meaning next week, to opt out if we're going to opt out. If the law passed by December 31st. So it's our last scheduled board for that. So we have no more comments on the on-site consumption. And we got one more chat message.
Does it turn on its camera?
Tell me.
Can't read that. You need to read it to us, please.
Can you write something? They're asking questions about this app. Questions? So yeah, our meetings do get recorded and transcribed through the GoToMeeting app. I don't know if there's a way to show it on the bottom like Zoom does. We're not as wealthy as the school district. Can't afford Zoom. This costs us $20 a month, Zoom hundreds of dollars a month. Some contract. All right, we're gonna get our own little logos and fancy backgrounds. All right, so we'll close that public hearing. For next thing, the third public hearing. This is on local law number 4. So this local law is time and place of board. And we're one of the villages for this is time for meetings by resolution of the board. It's instead of village charter. This local law will switch that from our village charter to by resolution of the board. Doesn't say a different day, it just gives us the ability to set the time and place by resolution instead of local law. Do you have any public comment about?
Explain that more.
Hopefully, working.
For state law, the village board set the time, the day, and the time, and the place for the regular board meeting. So you're required to hold a regular board meeting, but you just have to hold them on a regular basis. And it doesn't say that you have to hold them on this day. That gives discretion to the board, because frankly, you're all really busy people. And sometimes Tuesdays or the Mondays or Wednesdays or Thursdays. For whatever reason, villages, I think, if I look at, I didn't want to put a date on it. At some point, some decided having this set by law, and the charter was forever after the first third Monday of the month, unless the holiday falls on that Monday, in which case it would take place on Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the village board meeting room. And we can, I mean, you can change it by local law, but it takes, a good meeting or two to even do that. And if you're trying to move things around on a pretty quick basis, then maybe some Monday can work. This just gives you a lot more flexibility. And as I think Charles was the one who passed or consider moving the regular meeting day, not realizing that it's, I mean, Charles is actually an example. For whatever reason, Tuesdays are entertainment. And the only way then to make the regular meeting day Tuesdays would be a new local law that changes it for Mondays. This just gives you a lot more flexibility. The mayor said it's not going to be right now. They take another action by board to basically adopt a different schedule, whatever it is. But at least it gives you, opportunity to change it on a needed basis as opposed to something that takes a public process.
So what we're going to be voting for is to take the, I just clarity. I think everybody here needs clarity. We're voting to take it out of the charter.
Correct.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Policy.
There's a lot of
Do we have
sound.
any public comment about that?
There's a lot lot of sound interference. So there was some question about what you're discussing.
Yeah, but I think it's not a good.
Can you just restate that you're talking about local law number 4 and what the local law entails?
Yeah, so it's local law number 4, which is setting time and place of the board meetings. So I think you're here is the internet. For this bill. This will all be fixed. But that's-
Yeah, what
Well,
saying, and we're not saying the time of the board meeting, we're going to say we don't want it in the charter. Okay.
Yes, this local law just takes it out of there and puts it at the board level, whatever board that may be. You have any comments about that? Yeah. So we'll close that public hearing. There you go. All right, do we want to, as a board, take any action? Read the laws that we sent public hearings on? Would you like to do public comment first? Or do the laws? We'll do the laws.
That we do not need to take any immediate action on the local form. That's not possible. We can do that with some further thought or discussion about it. We'll do that. Okay. Yeah, we did that. Anyways, trustees do some difference in a lot of things, like just saying we can do it, but I'm just saying we don't have a rush to it.
You guys tell me, I mean, that seems at least controversial.
It's controversial.
When are you asking to have us vote on this?
Let's work up the next meeting and it's difficult because we only have 4 of us in this room. We don't have Charles work in here. We don't have it. It's just any conversation about this. And it's not. I'm just saying, let's get through it. We can, yes, speaking, talking better. My opinion.
Laura, what do you got?
I agree with Rusty that
Laura,
I think we.
go ahead.
Okay, I agree with what Rusty just said about waiting a little bit longer for this. I looked at the law as written, and it says that we could set the date and stuff, but we already have it already set in the. Is it in the charter or is it in the laws that it says the specific date? And so we didn't put that we would repeal that section. We're only adding this. And so without like repealing that other section or changing the other section, we're not actually effectively doing what you're trying to do here. So maybe we got to look at that. And then sort of as like trust in your local government, we've had these meetings set in our annual meetings for the year and online. And when we go about changing them this way, people know when and where we always have our meetings. And here we're allowing this change that it can happen at any time, and people don't know when. Like, we're not saying that. We're just going to set them once a year at the annual meeting. This law change just says that we can just willy-nilly change it by resolution. And when are people going to know to look for that information other than the annual meeting? Or it just seems like that we're kind of just trying to accommodate somebody as opposed to thinking of the entire village and everybody's schedules collectively, just to be nice for one person. Um, and I think we ought to step on the brakes and go back to standard trust. My opinion. Thanks.
Raised me.
Most places do in their annual meeting resolution, which that's not going to be official newspaper, banks going to be appointments. The meeting schedule will be whatever. They do that once a year. They lay it all out. And you know, often a lot of say, well, it's the summertime. Instead of 2 meetings, we're only going to do 1. We know it's not, or it's Christmas time. Who wants to have a meeting the week of Christmas? Nobody's going to want to do that, right? So they just do 1 meeting that before the week or mid week, but they do it once a year at that annual reorg meeting. Is typically how other places do it. So it's not that it's necessarily done willy-nilly. Maybe I'm being a little loose with my words to how people do that. But that's typically the way that the process would work. And so, you know, to Laura's point about how are people going to have notice, if the board then deviates from the schedule of the meeting, then his office needs to make sure that the meeting's re-noticed in an appropriate fashion so that the media and the public are actively aware of it. And any other meeting that you might have on any other days, those are just special meetings. And you can always put special meetings at any you know, on an appropriate notice, depending on how far in advance you know that we take place.
So same with the location.
Same as your communication.
Like we did with this one.
I like the idea of being able to move it if it's specified for Monday and Tuesday. I don't like possibly Tuesday, possibly Friday, possibly Wednesday. It's very confusing. I do agree with your point to summer and Christmas sort of time, just things going on and like that. But I mean, I would go to specify a day and leave it open to the 7 days available. And that's my only concern. I understand Laura's point. The residents depend on continuity of the day. And where we are, this kind of makes us less transparent if we are all of the board on the days, and that I don't like.
I don't think all of the board, but I think this would set to give the board half the time to decide what works for them. And they still have to set a schedule, and the schedule has to be regular, published, and all that. You know, you don't just have Monday this month, Wednesday this month, Friday that month. Yeah. You still would set a schedule, you hold to it.
Would that be at the end of the year? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that way I would be perfectly fine with as long as people have the idea of what we're doing reasonably within the year.
Right now, you can't do that. There's no point even putting that in, it's not law. So third Monday, 7 o'clock.
Right, that's what people going to depend on.
It's in our chart.
Right, that's section 4.
And Ron, I mean, just from my point, I mean, I can tell you, I prefer that you have the flexibility, you know, because I think what Mayor said is really bad. The next, as soon as elections happen, and there's new results, that get an opportunity to say, well, Monday is still the day. And I think what you've said is really valid as well, Laura, right? People expect Mondays. That's at the municipal facility. It's been for years. And I can tell you, when other places move the regular meetings, in which they set by resolution, people are pissed at that, you know, because it's this day, and you know, sometimes it gets changed to a Tuesday, and it only lasts for 2 years because everybody's upset about it, and they move it back to Monday, or you know, whatever the days might be.
Personally, Mondays are the worst days of the week. Like one of the only days I have off. But I find a way to get your every week. I don't have meeting in 3.5 years. because it's important to me.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Monday's forever, so before you sign up, it's Monday. But I just, I don't know, it's just, to me, my opinion on it, so read this, you know. My opinion is, I mean, I don't understand why we're fostering this 100-year-old in the charter and not following state law. Rusty?
So my beginning of this was to get this out of the way in 5 seconds, we can get on to the other stuff. And because we didn't go forward here, because I heard from some other people or some other ideas. That's a thought. It's still a thought too. It's like, it seems that there's still some thoughts and discussion about it. And we don't have people to try and
Charles,
so what is it? Next meeting? Tell me.
I don't see it as a pragmatic or something.
Yeah, 60 days to vote on it.
It looks like it was adopted in 97.
Or 1970.
Because it's not in the charter. I want to tell them that. Everybody just so strict. Can we do this next time?
Thanks, so. So we want to move on to action on local law 2 or 3.
I would vote that we, yeah, I vote on
You vote to approve what's passed.
What do you say?
I don't want to vote.
Also,
All right, we're saying about it.
no.
Yeah. So the numbers, please.
Are you saying you want to opt in or opt out?
I want to opt on. If we know, so.
So you vote, you want to make a motion to pass local law,
Sorry, guys, I
whatever.
can't hear. Did somebody just make a motion?
Yeah, exactly.
Or ask if somebody made a motion.
Don't think it's through the internet. So Laura, on the motion to pass the local law which would opt out of on-site.
So you are
Be able to hear that? Yes, yes. Good. I'm judging you for my spelling. Our engineer.
So what I thought you started to say was Ron made a motion to opt out of having dispensaries.
No, on-site consumption.
It was, okay, so it's for out of having on-site consumption facilities and lounges. The motion is to
Yeah.
opt out of on-site consumption lounges.
Yes.
Okay, has that been seconded?
No.
Okay.
You're not gonna second. We have a second. Okay. So do we have any motions to pass?
So, since,
the
so-
dispensaries?
on-site consumption, we are not opting out, is that the idea?
There was no second to the motion, so there's no vote, so there's no action. So if the board doesn't reconsider this again, either tonight or at another meeting, between now and New Year's, then that would be the case.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve local law 2, what do they call it? Opt out at this moment with the option of opting back in a week. That's what I call it. Yes, is it 2 in the section?
Yeah.
Yes, I make a motion that we opt out at this particular time, the option always opt back in.
Okay. We have a second to that one? Okay.
can't hear.
Fine, no action on that either.
Laura, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. So what I just heard, for those who couldn't hear, was that there was two motions. The first motion was made by Ron to opt out of on-site consumptions, and that did not get a second motion to continue the discussion to a vote. And then after that, Rusty made a motion on local law number 2 to motion to opt out of dispensaries. And that did not get a second motion. And so that didn't move to any further discussion at this time. Is that what we heard?
That's true.
So public comment?
All right, so no action on any of that?
So does that mean we're out?
We're still in. It's like a power grid thing. It's like one of those weird power agreements you get. You have to opt out, otherwise you're in.
Thank you.
All right, so on to the regularly scheduled public comment. Any public comment from anybody?
I think you guys made the right decision.
Any other public comment?
I'm sorry?
Yes, can I make a public comment?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, again, we can't hear you very well, but because those had no seconds, what does that mean? Does that mean that the village is opting in?
Can I explain that up from there?
Unless we vote it between now and the 31st.
These people seem confused that if you don't want to, I won't.
Sorry, I'm confused. So,
Just about the 60-day rule.
right, so technically, 60 days to pass a local law once the public hearing happens. So we took no action tonight. On these specific local laws, you'd have to take action by December 31st.
Right.
There are no other regularly scheduled board meetings for them as of right now, so.
So, however, wasn't there one before where there was a vote and the vote was to opt in?
Yes, the vote was to cancel those specific local laws at that time. So,
So I do remain confused.
you can try whatever.
There is no vote to opt in ever. The state never gave us an option to make a vote to opt in. The only
Okay,
option is to opt out. If you take no action by the 31st of December, you have by default opted in. The only action you can take by the 31st of December is to opt out.
okay. Thank you,
That's the
Rusty.
only reason. You're welcome. But also remember, many people think that people in this village board are trying to make a decision about the marijuana on the opt-out. And we've tried to explain this over and over, that our thinking on this, which is the thinking on most of the townships in this county, is to opt out because it's one of the few options the state gave us, because we can then always opt in. If some information came to mind, or we had a change of heart, or the money was rolling in on the January 1st or January 3rd, or 6 months or 3 months, we can always opt back in. That's the gist of that whole circle. You pretty much have it?
Yes, thank you. And I would like to say, Rusty, whatever you did to make yourself heard, we could hear you.
I talked too loud, as my wife always tells me. All right, do we have any more public comment? Anything?
I just have one thing to say about opt out and then opt in later. A town like this does not have that opportunity for the sole reason that there are a finite, legally, there's a finite number of licenses. It's not just if you apply, you get it. There's a finite number of licenses, so if somebody wants to open up in the village, it would have to be day one, because if you opt, just say you opt out and 4 months later you decide to opt in, by that time, there could be an instance where there are no more licenses open. And B, if you have people already planning to do so, which we know there are, it's a day one situation. And if you decide to opt in 4 months later, A, they're going to take their money and go elsewhere, and we're kind of out of luck. Or B, there are no licenses anymore to give out, and then we lose on that 4% retail no matter what. So for an instance for a small village like Owego, and why I'm so passionate about this, is because it is super important to act on day one, AKA don't opt out, stay in. It's a day one or never in a situation like this. And that's just the reality of it. Listen, there's no guarantees in life, right? But just from my experience being in the industry for over 4 or 5 years now, and everything I'm hearing within the New York Cannabis Growers and Processors Association, and the information that we're hearing from the state, the licensing is going to go out quick, meaning they're going to get gobbled up quick. So for a small village like us, you need to opt in day one, because if they decide to open up the licenses later on, the municipalities down in the city of Long Island, where there's much more population, they'll get it, and the MSOs, meaning the big corporations, will sweep those up. But we're in a unique position here that small business can thrive. Business is owned by small people rather than bringing in the big people. So that's why I'm so passionate about this going day one. It's not only financially responsible for the town to opt in, but it's also a great opportunity for small businesses that are looking to not only make money, but also contribute in a big way to the village itself.
I'll add on that is that there's a lot of local farmers in the area as well. So not only you have years of cannabis, we don't call anymore, but you know, if they wanted to pursue a retail license, despite, you know, let's say the village that you opt out and they still want to, you know, pursue a retail license, they will look elsewhere to do that, because they're going to need to be able to show on that application that they have real estate that is ready to go, that this is where it's going to be, everything like that. It can't just kind of be like, well, we'll see if our municipality opts back in a few months, that they won't have the money to do that. Also, as I was saying, the small farmers, they don't want this area are so included, but you know, besides that, there's many others. And speaking to the market dynamics that Eric was just describing, a dispensary here in this location, like that is something like people go in there wanting to buy Berkshire grown cannabis, right? New York Valley grown cannabis. They don't want to buy cannabis from this region. If you go trying to sell Berkshire cannabis to the city is not as, you know, it's just New York cannabis at that point, right? It's New York, they don't have that same connection. So I'm just saying that it's also an opportunity for these businesses to really thrive. You know, we really got the rug pulled out from under us in the hemp industry, the oversupply, the market crashing. So a lot of these hemp farmers in the industry are going to be transitioning, looking to transition on a craft scale into the adult use market. And for them to be able to do that successfully on a small scale, they're going to need the support of local businesses that can purchase their product and customers that want to support them and purchase their product. And that is really where we get to see the full potential of what this can do for our local economy, for the struggling farmers. That is a category on the social, that falls under social equity licensing. So 50% of the licenses as it stands now will go to social equity businesses. That includes disadvantaged farmers. So, there's a lot of those in this area, and a lot of them that could really benefit from those licenses. And I understand that we're not discussing opting out of growing. That's not, an option by any means. But for those growers to have a better shot at, succeeding in this marketplace, they need to have local outlets that are going to, really be able to move their product and move it well.
So we're still normal public comment. Anybody else? So, next section on our normal meeting here is department head reports. I see we had Tracy Babcock join us. Only department head here, Tracy. Do you have anything?
The only thing I wanted to do is give you a little update on the employee situation at the plant. The MEO that I hired a few weeks ago has left and gone back to his previous employer. Blaze Dinmore, my operator crew chief, is his last day is this Friday. And one of my operator trainees is taking a test this week for a job he has applied for down in Chemung. So just wanted to give you an update there. Other than that, things are running pretty smooth, thank goodness, at the plant.
Anybody want it out?
Anybody knows anybody's working sewer plant?
So what happens if there's nobody to work there?
There's a lot of pressure on this. Somebody has to run it, and Tracy is the man who would essentially run everything because he's certified to do such. But it's definitely at least a 6-man operation. So thankfully this time of year, it's a slower flow rate. But yes, Jeff.
I just gonna say there's other options.
Yeah, we know.
You cannot dump buckets of crap down the sewer.
You're right, you can't.
Just throwing that out.
Other options.
In public comment, you get to sell.
Yeah, there are some contractors that, like in the Deco, local kind of, they don't do sewer plants, but there are ones that will come in and dump it.
Hopefully it won't run to that, but.
So how long can we go with the employees?
Well, hopefully we fix it soon.
That wasn't the question.
But we still have 3.
We have 3 people.
There are 3 there. If the one leaves who took the test. Right now we have 4. We can run on that. We've done it before. It's, like I said, thankfully in the winter time, the flow rate is much slower. So we are pretty safe until April.
What are the hours? Is it day and night? 2 shifts?
No, it's just day, and there are weekend hours involved. They kind of fluctuate the weekends. I'm a sewer commissioner, so I'm just selling for my guys.
I know some people looking for work. I'll put it out there.
Thank you.
Nobody. Anything else, Tracy?
That's really all I had for the sewer. I did want to mention that I took part in a walkthrough of the new building last week with the contractor. Punch list walkthrough. Everything is looking very good there and moving along very quickly to get that handed over to us about a month, it looks like. So, and there again, everything over there is running smooth. Guys are picking leaves, picking brush, replacing some signs, doing some pothole work. So things are moving smooth there. So that's all I really had, unless somebody had something for me.
All I guess, thank you for helping out with Jeff's DPW. He's out
Is there
for
any
a couple of weeks.
report on that, Jeff?
One question about that. You know, I drive every day down to Binghamton and see the signs over the highway about DOT is looking for plow drivers. Assuming that they're short on plow drivers, is Front Street gonna get plowed? So that's a state thing, right?
Right. So it's a state DOT road.
Right. So is there any way the RDPW is a fallback or backup for that? Or how long could Front Street go without getting caught? What's the state saying?
No, I haven't asked them. That's a good question for the state. I'll call and ask them. It's not just Front Street.
Yeah.
There's half the roads in the village are state roads.
Yeah.
Or North Ave, Front Street, Main Street. So that's a good question, because they are advertising like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing them for weeks now. It doesn't give me a good feeling going into snow season.
Knock on wood, we've done pretty lucky so far.
Yeah.
Plans to stay home as much as possible.
It's only gonna last so long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good question. I'll reach out to state DOT here. See what their status is, if it's you see the sign, I don't know if it's here or in general, they need people. And our DPW is, last I checked with Jeff, was fully ready to go.
Hopefully they don't get another 4 foot.
Right, yeah, I think we're going last week, right? A year ago, like yesterday, a couple days ago.
17. Loaders don't plow it.
No, we got it done. All right, so I think that's our department. And before we can go through the others, you get anything from
Fire department,
other people?
Okay.
All the people?
fire department, and we've already spoken to Mr. Johnson, even though he doesn't directly speak to the fire department, but continued station concerns with
Yeah, so we have,
for us to.
not really, besides an update, we had our DRI contractor look at the roof of the fire station. And they are preparing whatever estimates they're gonna give us. And they have concerns with the artifacts. which we can get out there. Don't put them out, the museum.
So Hunt had spoken to us. We talked to Hunt and told him how, because today's concerned me, and they did their thing. Did they get back to you or someone that said it will be months before they can do anything, much of anything, a bid package, this, that, is there some?
No, but I wasn't able to go to the inspection of the contract.
Okay.
Which was just on Thursday, so I haven't talked to them Thursday on that.
Okay. Police, we're ready for police? I will not at this moment, express the concerns that the police chief has of marijuana lounges. Although he did express it to us last time, and I will at some future time address that. We would like to, the police chief would like to hire.
Well, yes, the effective date.
Okay, well,
The police chief would like to hire Justin McCartney, B-U-S-T-I-N, McCartney, Paul's a good brother. M-C-C-A-R-T-N-E-Y, who is now a part-time police officer in the village of Owego, and would like to hire him full-time. And we will do that under the second of our 3 cops grants that we have. We would like to hire him at the PBA standard price for someone who has been through the academy. So I may or may not have that exactly right, but we believe that the old contract had $44,315, but that or the, whatever the contract says. And of course, when we have a new contract, that will have changed. And it would like to hire them on or after the 23rd, the 23rd of December. He may not pick that exact day because of some couple of factors, but that's the first day that he's allowed to hire him based on, I know, it's his own service situation. So effective the 23rd of December, that salary with the minimum required New York State Civil Service probation. That is a motion.
I'll second that.
Hiring full-time or part-time?
Well, he is part-time now, it's hiring full-time under the cops rate.
He's been in the village for quite a while.
Okay, a couple of years, part-time.
And recently moved to the village.
Yeah.
Actually,
The COPS grant, was that not for new officers?
it's for a new full-time, so this is a part-time is fine. That qualifies for this.
Okay.
He's one hell of a cop, really nice guy, very community oriented.
Wants to be here and move here.
Yes.
Did I give a second on that?
No, I strongly encourage you. If you've never met him, he's really worth meeting.
Any other discussion about hiring Dusty?
I'm in favor.
Laura, would you
Speak up, Laura.
I vote in favor.
start him at that? Ron,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
and yes.
That's everything from the police chief.
All right.
Well, I know Robin had a number of issues to bring up on the EMS. There is still no one has told us anything about air testing in that room that the EMS was using as far as the quality of the air from what's being circulated from above. There's no report on that.
Yeah, the chief was coordinating that. I don't know if he got results.
Well, Robin has purchased air purifier. And she wants that billed to the general fund of the village. Because that is, the EMS does not own that building. The village owns that building. Hey, if the air is so bad, that nobody can get up on that next floor above. Now, like I said, there's no report on testing where the EMS are.
I got a dollar amount on that. I'm just
I-
curious.
no, No, I'm sorry.
I can't imagine more than $200.
But I will, leave that up to her to bring the financial amount up at the next board meeting. I'm sorry, she did not make it.
I just think, what, so he got some huge commercial $10,000 system?
No, I'm sure not. No.
This is smart.
I'm just concerned with the fact that fighting over probably a couple $100 when the EMS, yeah, it's the village's building, but the EMS lives there.
EMS has no control over the air quality. She was gonna have testing done and she was told the chief was gonna do that.
All for the village. She can call the chief too.
She's already tested, right? Just waiting results, but
Yeah, I never heard any results either. Rusty, what do you got?
The chief did tell us, a meeting or 2 meetings ago, that they'd already done the testing. I mean, all the rooms and floors in the building, and he didn't have the results from the firm yet. So those, I understand, but those should be forthcoming. I just don't know
Yeah, I haven't seen.
how to get them or when to get them or how it works. But
Well, in the meantime, they're potentially putting all the EMS health at risk.
why don't we just admit we're putting the building at risk? It's not
Right,
actually a
the building.
building, it's first floor, second floor, third floor. I love that you defend EMS, but you're the commissioner. I love that about you. But we need to look at the whole entity.
Yeah, well,
Everybody's trying to come into the room. Can you hear me, Burkala? Okay, I think we're just trying to get back in. Thanks.
I'm here and waiting with you, Laura.
Hey, thank you. I'm gonna text the mayor and see if he knows we're out.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
Thanks. Hi, Patty. We're waiting for the meeting to come back. We got disconnected. So they're sitting over there chatting in the meeting, and I'm trying to get back in. I've texted the mayor and the attorney and Fran. So hopefully somebody will let them know. Or somebody will turn it on. Hey guys, I'm just gonna go over to the meeting and try to see if I can get you back on, okay?
Not here. No, it's not a building. This is back room. No comment. All right, so I think we're back. Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
They might have left, but we don't have Laura. Somebody's. We can hear us again.
We can hear you.
You want to wait on the minutes till next time? Was everybody here last week?
Second, so we're back.
Yes, sir.
Rusty?
In the absence of Laura, the expert, by accident, I happened to look at these minutes with Judge's office earlier in the week. And the changes that they made in people.
Yeah.
Once the changes aren't, there were a couple.
I got new ones.
There was a couple minor changes. Other than that, I reviewed those, my mind, they're okay.
Right. I looked at them too, but I'm sure. Yeah.
So I move that we approve the minutes of December 7th.
I'll second that.
All right, Laura. Oh, we can, we can.
Ron?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Brad?
No, I think we need to wait till next time.
And I'll vote. So vote for this. We'll wait till next time. Treasurer's report. Everybody get my report on the treasurer's report? Overall, things are going okay. Yeah, estimates. 6,000, we're good. This is good. Which is good. Doesn't matter if we pretty much run on schedule. Some low, some high, but in the end, it kind of evens up.
Move to accept the treasurer's report.
Second. No discussion on that, other than that?
Yes, I still am very unhappy with the accounts here for the cemetery. I'd like to know why we don't have the interest for every month. I mean, we have interest on other accounts here, and Okay, we had, in September, for the Evergreen Cemetery CD, the ending balance was 76,377. And last month, there showed no activity, and the balance went back down to what it had previously been in August. And last month and this month, it shows the balance from August. It does not show balance moving forward from September. Like I said, we sporadically show interest. I mean, the end of October, the perpetual care fund CD, the balance was 382,707.88. And the end of November, it's the same amount. Does that show the interest? I mean, there's, from my understanding, there's almost about 1,200 every month in interest on that perpetual care fund. And this ledger does not show that. And my other complaint, and I've talked about it several times, back in September, there was $5,000 given to the village from a bequest, especially for the repair of in the village for the Evergreen Cemetery. It has never shown up in any of those accounts. That $5,000 is someplace out there, I don't know where, but it isn't in the cemetery accounts. So no, I do not approve the bank statements.
You were going to step it.
Excuse me, you are the clerk treasurer. You are voted in as the clerk treasurer. It is your job. It's not my job to tell the girls in the office what to do. It's yours. And I have no idea. I cannot go and check with these banks on what interest was paid on these different accounts. I have no authority to say you have.
We only get quarterly statements. The CDs, we get quarterly statements.
Well, from August through November, there shows no interest on that Evergreen Cemetery CD. Shows no interest in account.
I just.
Yeah, well, so I don't approve these because they're not accurate.
So you're voting no for the treasurer's report?
That's my vote, no.
We'll go back around. Yes. Rusty? Yes. Laura?
So I missed this, but I looked over the treasurer's report and I didn't see anything wrong. So I'm in approval of the treasurer's report, yes.
No, yes. Mr. Ricker? Yeah. Two.
There are discrepancies.
Friends, concerns, let's find out some of the concerns that she has and allay those concerns.
I mean, 2 months ago, it showed an increase in that one CD, and then it showed no activity on the account in the last 2 months, and all of a sudden, the balance is back to what it was 3 months ago. Is that it?
Which number was it? Let's get specifics so we can know.
Okay, the Evergreen Cemetery CD.
On the back page, it's 76,000. 76,000.
In September, the ending balance was 76,377. In October and November, it showed no activity, and the balance went back to what it had been in August to $76,023.93. There's like $300 missing there.
So. See if it's just the spreadsheet. We just mess that up and put the old number in instead of the number. This is CD. I'll tell you the truth, too. CDs go down? Yeah, they follow the market. Yeah. I don't really think about them. Somebody's.
But it showed no activity. It didn't show where anything came in or went out.
It is hard to imagine that it was exactly that 76,023 in August, went up to 377, and then it fluctuated back down to 023. That's it. So this is just something to explore and find out. And how about the $5,000? Is that something we can find the answer to?
Yeah, that came in and that was for, it'd be used for just cemetery use in general. So that could be just in Jeff's cemetery.
Well, we have these 3 counts for the cemetery. 5,000 did not show up in any of them.
No, but it could have got, it went to the general fund, Jeff's, I believe this one went to Jeff's cemetery account. Who, we bumped up his account $5,000. Pretty sure that we did that. It wasn't.
Well, I'd like to see that figure.
Okay.
So someplace on page 8 there where it's all the cemetery public works expenses, it may have been.
So those expenses don't come out of those accounts.
Where the trees?
Well, that's not true, Nick. If you look in the perpetual care fund, in October and September, there was money that went in and out, both months.
I think from the trees, right? You're moving money.
You're saying the money doesn't go in and out of those accounts. It does all the time.
Yeah, but not like.
I'm just saying, if someone.
Wasn't.
They're not accurate.
Take the perpetual time interest.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember back a couple of months. I thought that's how we paid for the trees.
Yeah, the interest can come out of the perpetual care fund. But it doesn't show where it's going in as interest, it's just coming out.
Is that interest an annual thing? I don't know anything about finances, so I'm trying to.
All the accounts are different.
So would that be an explanation for the fact that the perpetual care on the last sheet of this report doesn't show any interest? Would we have used that interest for trees out of that particular time frame? Well, that's one, it's a thing to know, so.
Well, it showed back in October.
We used it, some of it in October.
Remember, these are always months.
Okay, so the ending balance in October was 382,707. And the ending balance in November is the same figure. It does not show more interest, which, okay. We go back to August. It does not show interest coming in. September, it does not show interest coming in. But yet you've got money here that's supposedly received. And you've got the, 1 month in October, there's interest acknowledged there, 1,363.
Would that be the amount of interest for that?
And then there was 11,962 taken out. You shouldn't take out any more than interest. These figures are not right.
Can I ask you a question? So you have those numbers for August and the other things that you're talking about? So what was it back in August? Was it 382,707?
Okay, August, the balance was 391, 760.
391, 367.60 in August.
Okay, it showed there received $9,954.82. Now, it doesn't show that under interest. And the perpetual care fund is just that, it's for perpetual care. It's not an active account.
So in August, we had 391, 367.60, and how about the September one?
But the exact same figures.
So the 391, and then how about?
And it showed it's the exact same figures coming in and out.
In October, we had 391, 367. Okay, I don't have it. Okay. August, right here. Okay, there it goes from there to there, and that was received, it says, okay, and then that was taken away.
the next month, you've got the exact same figures, starting, coming out, and ending.
So both of those,
It can't be true.
yeah, both of those things show that.
It doesn't show, this should be the beginning
That
balance
should be the
here.
beginning, meaning over here, and instead it shows that same line item there.
Yeah.
But it does show us having that much money, even though. that-
But those are just carryover figures.
Correct,
They're not the actual
correct.
things that happened that month.
Okay, so, and then what's the next one? That shows the beginning of that there.
It's down here.
Yeah, that's that beginning number there that you think that should have been over here on this one, okay? And then over here is 11,000 out.
Yeah, and only at 1,363 of interest.
I don't know how much interest comes on this.
Well, that's about the monthly interest.
1,000?
So what, where do you have the 11,000 to take out?
So we took that out of there, and then, I'm just looking real quick. So, okay, so, and then, which month was that? This was, August, September, October. And then we got November and December. That brings it down to 382, okay.
And it doesn't show the interest going in. It shows it 1 month.
So. All right, so we'll check out those. So. Do you want to do the minutes now that minute made is here? Yeah. Fran, would you be interested in doing the minutes now? Sure.
Sure, yeah, I looked them over, they look good, there was, they're great as is. I would motion to approve it as is.
Before we go, I want to say one quick thing. If you have a further concern after her thoughts and approval.
No, I have no concern.
Okay. Why don't you have an opportunity to say what your concern?
All right, Rob? Yes. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
The rest of the next meetings. Trustee reports is next. Rob?
Just want to be easy. Have you cut the trees down so I can walk under them now? I no longer hit my head at 5'4". So thank you to them. That's all I've got.
Rusty?
Do we still have that beautiful tree that was always almost an angle of Mommy's old front yard? They're gone.
Oh, it's still there.
Yeah, we got a tree for you. That was a sidewalk. It'll be 80 years before that's your house. It's Bobby's house. Okay, I have, probably an hour at least, lecture about marijuana, taxes, and legality, and all the rest of it. And someday I'll get it. No report.
Fran?
My only report for the cemetery committee is, their next meeting is on Saturday, January the 8th at 9 a.m. at Elm Street. That's all I have.
January. Laura?
Let's see, I saw that it's not mine now, it's me, but I'm really pleased that the fires, or the police station and the courthouse, won the grant for like close to $500,000, right? To restore the windows and the building, so that's pretty awesome. And then also, village-wide, we got the IT grant that the county was going in for us. So like that's new computers, fiber optics, and everything for all our departments. So that's sweet that we got that. And so OHPC had an award night that the mayor was at.
I know I was like, last minute.
Okay. I wasn't there for it, but I heard that it went nicely with,
Yeah.
yeah. So former members of OHPC and community members were awarded for their efforts for preservation in the village. And so the next OHPC meeting, it'll be the first Thursday of January, that's scheduled. I haven't seen anything for later this month for the planning or zoning. So the next meetings that we're intending for that will be at the end of January.
Yeah, they would have noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so the next scheduled are the normally at the end of the month. First Tuesday, it will be the last Tuesday of the month will be the planning, and then the following night is the next zoning. And that's it for me.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Good.
Do we have any insight into the Owego Trail building? It's a concern for residents about the safety of that.
Yeah, so that's code enforcement's gonna work in that.
And I wasn't sure if it changed again. I don't know where we sit in that. I don't know what to tell people.
I don't know for sure. I heard a rumor that it was changing.
That's what I heard through the grapevine, but I mean,
I don't know if that's a done deal yet.
I talked to Saeed, who was supposed to have bought it from George and April, and so it's kind of iffy. We thought he had not paid, and they were taking it back, but I don't think that officially, but no one seems to know it exactly right.
But yeah, I mean, there's an issue there with works going on.
Okay, I just thought I'd throw that out there in public so that we can publicly address it anyway.
Yeah, I know the code enforcement officers aware of it, working with whoever owns it.
It is a little interesting walking down that sidewalk out the street.
Down the road, yeah, I know.
I will tell you that whichever one of them owns it are not going to be taking care of those bricks.
I'm sure. I mean, but at some point, it's, I mean, I don't know what I do about it. Tear it down, I have no idea.
It's a code question. I don't know how we can do with it.
That doesn't need to be turned on.
I don't think so either. We can't just let it dilapidate.
Tim may know of this update, we're going to discuss this all. And there certainly is problematic about the historic nature of the building and some of the plans of not putting the large amount of money into fixing the top and fixing it a different way. But I can't imagine that will at least be done. Terry Coleman has some interest in that.
So long as there's something going on, people are very concerned is the word I've been given.
Yeah. But we can check with Terry and make sure. But they're still on top of that. The last thing we do.
Thank you.
Can you give a report on that at the next village board meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Communications. Don't have much besides, we did get, we've been trying to get, fix the outside of the police station, $484,000. And that was, we've done some of the stuff, but it was for a roof, windows, reappointing the brick. Some improvements there. So we'll be working with Team Owego to figure out how we go forward. I know right now we're looking for something from the state. We got awarded it, but we don't have any of the documents, so legal documents. So next step is wait for the state. We'll talk about that 8 months later.
How long will it be, all right?
Sign. But anyway, we got it. It's a good thing. Good thing for the building. It needs a lot of work still, even though we put a lot. We also got the grant, like Laura said, to cover our IT shared services costs. So once we go to our new building, we will be on the county's IT plan, I guess. A lot of municipalities are jumping on and using the county as their IT provider for internet, computers, phones, all kind of stuff to share. It's a lower cost of paying now and better service. So this grant was put out by the state to incentivize local governments to provide services like that.
So will that buy our new equipment? Is that the idea?
Yes. So any new, some of it we've already spent, but new fiber lines running to our buildings. We need new servers, or phones, physical stuff, computers.
None of us are gonna know how to use.
Yeah. So, that was my communications. My report, that's not a written report. Big thing was we walked through the new building, municipal building. It's really nice. We created a little punch list of things to get done. There's nothing major, besides this one kind of a flow thing. We're gonna move, see what it'll cost to move service window, I'll call it, of DPW from the hallway to out in the lobby. So it's directly across the clerk's one. Just, I don't know why I was there, stuck on. See what happens. It makes sense. Hopefully it doesn't cost nothing to do. But we should be moving in, kind of schedule moving into that building in the middle of next month, in January. There's not much on the list of stuff to get done. They were supposed to install the internet there last weekend, I think, which they needed to do the door locks. All very fancy. When they were installing cameras, and they had a list of. But it's moving along good. Looks nice over there. We got a plan, once spring comes, to build more parking over there. Jeff. More than we can afford with the grant. Like that. Rusty?
There you go, something. I was gonna ask something after you.
Think of much else. It's kind of a big thing, that, and getting the grants from the state. We had a DRI meeting, obviously, with get the block park station. We'll see where that leads.
Yeah. Is there something we need to address this? Did you see this, man?
I did.
Methane.
Yes.
It's out there, but it's stuff that all stuff that did these.
Right.
Female request.
I'm trying to close out some of the stuff that's hanging open since 2011.
Can I see that?
No.
No?
Not tonight.
You know anything about it?
Yeah,
Problem
She can see it, so meeting's over.
is- problem is Jeff knows about it.
please email it to us.
Medical leave, so.
I just have this out in the office.
Concerning the, yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Can you email that to everybody, Mr. Mayor?
All right. Last thing is public comment. We're back online. We got
What are
any?
you looking at over there? Now is it? What are you looking over there for those questions?
I got many, but I'll keep most of them to myself right now. The one thing I will say is that all the water main projects are completed and all the road openings are closed up to about 95%. The only ones that aren't are the bottom portion of Woodlawn, and they'll be done by end of this week.
Oh, yeah, somebody.
I'll be done by one, Jeff.
The end of this week.
Thank you, because I had two people from Woodlawn
Same.
asked me about that, because I saw that from Bradley on down, there's about 10 of the, mostly the side things, and then the strip is medium,
Yeah.
the medium left out with all of the laterals are not
They'll be concreted by the end of this week.
beautiful. I'll tell them that.
Yeah, it's somebody. From up there.
Main Street is much better.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty sketchy, you know, about a month ago. But Main Street is right on top of that.
Anything else? Mike?
Yes, I got something again. Actually, two things. One is with with the fire hydrant thing. Does that mean that Suez is gonna now shovel around the hydrants? Or I figured Jeff was here to answer that.
I usually shovel the one in front of my store because I don't want my store.
What would the process be to get Page Street changed to a one-way, I believe it's south, from Fox Street to Front Street and get what's that? Spencer Avenue, one way from Main Street to Fox.
Spencer already one way, or are you going the other way?
Yeah, but when you come up Temple Street, it's one way this way and one way this, you know.
Right, sync them up.
Yeah, it's screwy, but there's so much traffic on Page Street.
I know.
And you know, if you're coming up Fox Street, I don't know how many times I get halfway down the street and there's some jackass who sees that I got 50 cars over here, nowhere to go over here, and he's still gonna come down here and he gets mad at me because he's gotta pull up out of the sidewalk.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go there.
And the way people fly down that street, especially in the morning, because they take that shortcut, they come up Temple Street and they don't even bother to stop at the stop sign, they just whip right around. Yeah, it would just make the flow a little
I mean, on the
easier.
corner of Spencer and Temple, most people don't go the right way anyway.
Yeah,
That's true.
so.
I see it at least a few times a day.
Once I said, it's a little confusing, because if you turn on Main Street down Spencer Avenue, that's one way to Temple. And then from Fox to Temple, it's one way in a different
The
direction.
other way, yeah.
Say that again? Spencer's one way all the way down straight through.
I didn't get that part.
If you turn off of Main Street onto Spencer,
It's one way going down.
Spencer to Temple, it's
One
one
way.
way.
And then that's it's one way also.
Yeah, but it's going in the other direction.
No,
It's all one
no, they
direction.
all go one way. Same
They
thing.
just go the wrong way. It's one way because I live.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. But I just
Tell my
want
wife you said
to,
that.
I just want to change the direction.
Goodbye credibility.
It's been a long day and I'm sitting here listening to Rusty, so that frightens me.
Okay.
What would the process be to get that done?
It's a local law. So, it's a very local law, and then go through the public hearing and pass it.
We'd probably send that to the traffic committee and have them take a look at that and give a recommendation, and then we.
I mean, because Page Street from front to Main is already one way, but it's going north to south, or, yeah,
That'd be the one that's going the opposite.
going the opposite direction, yeah. Which, that can be kind of confusing too, because I see a lot of people zip right down there in Front Street.
They don't know what that do not enter sign means.
Yeah.
No, Ron.
Well, you know,
They do know what it means.
They choose to look
It
the
just
other
doesn't
way.
pertain to that.
Nobody told
It's a
them when they took
suggestion.
their driving exam that they.
Next time I check, I'll take the same road test.
Well, I would agree, because I've done sit on that corner.
Oh.
Well, I mean, well, you know where I live, driving my truck, and I have to take a wide right turn to get into my driveway, and I had cars pull up on the right side of me as I'm trying to pull into the driveway.
And I think we have to do, if we ever did a public service, letting people know it's coming, just like.
Well, yeah, you
Stop
don't
signs.
market some,
Enforcement's always gonna be the issue.
but either one way or no parking.
Yeah, and no parking is gonna be, people are gonna have a fit about that, because a lot of these people down on that end don't have anywhere to park on the street.
Right, they don't have driveways down there.
Of course, most of them don't know how to park on the street either, but.
That's a whole other.
So when you talk, you cause a lot of problems.
Leave them alone.
It's the bald guy, you don't get it.
We like you.
We're all getting there.
Sorry, I want to put reflectors on, mounted to the curtain or my.
Anybody else?
Leave me room.
Thank you, Mike.
No, anyone else have any public comment online or anything? Now that we're back online? All right. Guess that's all true.
Well, good, sir.
Have a good night, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.